Hi, my name is Shamika Klassen, and I'm here to talk to you about the paper More Than a Modern Day Green Book, Exploring the Online Community of Black Twitter, written by myself, Sara Kingsley, Kalyn McCall, Joy Weinberg, and Dr. Casey Fiesler. First, let's talk about the Negro Motorist Green Book. Victor Green, a U.S. postal worker living in Harlem, published the first edition of the Negro Motorist Green Book in 1936, a 15-page guide listing travel accommodations and businesses in metropolitan New York City. Green delivered mail in New Jersey and frequently drove south to visit his wife's family in Virginia, exposing him to America's landscape and providing him the opportunity to map it for himself. Modeling his publication after similar guides for Jewish travelers, the Green Book quickly became one of the best resources for surviving and navigating 1930s America while Black. It was published between 1936 and 1966. Today, people often use social media to seek out information and find community, resources, and strategies for staying safe. A prime example of this takes place on Twitter, where Black users coalesce around culture, art, and entertainment, business, and social issues in a community commonly referred to as Black Twitter. Andre Brock defines Black Twitter as an online gathering in which its members identify as Black, create culturally relevant content, share information, and utilize the affordances of Twitter to engage in Black discourse, grow social affinities, and share commonalities of Black culture. While non-Black people at times also participate with Black Twitter, Brock notes that to do so necessitates a strong understanding of Black culture, shared experiences, and digital practices. In our paper, we describe findings from an interview study with this community's participants, through which we observed that Black Twitter operates as a kind of green book of the 21st century. It provides a mechanism for users to share and find information, whether about staying safe or calls to action against anti-Black racism. We describe how Black Twitter, like the Green Book, responds to the shifting landscape of racism, creating a community-based network of resistance, economic empowerment, and Black joy. Similar to its 20th century counterparts, Black Twitter also documents and replies to the experience of being Black, answering W.B. Du Bois's question to the Black community of his time, how does it feel to be a problem, as seen through the proliferation of #BlankWhileBlack tweets. In this paper, we describe how Black Twitter benefits the Black community, as well as the challenges that might serve as barriers to those benefits, and explore how Twitter and other platforms might support and bolster marginalized communities through their joys and sorrows. For our research methods, we collected 75,012 tweets from the Twitter API and open-coded a subset of 1,000 tweets. We also interviewed 18 people who used Twitter and were familiar with Black Twitter. Following transcription, we conducted a thematic analysis of the interview data, beginning with 3 of the authors conducting independent open coding, then all the authors discussing shared themes and collaboratively working to combine and collapse codes into overarching themes. Researchers then revisited the interview transcript to determine how these themes supported the data, then defined these themes and identified the most representative supporting evidence and meaningful contributions from the interview data. Participants gave insights into the many ways that Black Twitter benefited their lives personally, as well as the Black community generally, including themes of community building, safety, information sharing and seeking, empowerment, and activism. However, as incredible and life-giving as Black Twitter can be described by our participants, it is not always a kiki. Participants described multiple challenges within and against Black Twitter, such as a lack of safety, outsiders, content stealing and appropriation, being called out, and racism. A number of the major challenges our participants expressed feeling unsafe from harassment and surveillance, racism, and having content stolen all come back to unwanted outside attention. Though participants recognize that other platforms such as Facebook have privacy options more conducive to curating one's audience, they also noticed that these platforms did not foster the same kind of community as Black Twitter. Unlike on Facebook, instead of focusing on the people you're following, Black Twitter is a community more focused on content and content sharing. Participants expressed the desire to have conversations within their community without the concern of mixed company. Ultimately, putting control over content, privacy, and organization in the hands of people using the platform could yield more satisfied and engaged experiences. Another experience people want to avoid is content theft. Overwhelmingly, participants spoke of stealing content as an issue concerning Black Twitter. Content gets picked up by other people, monetized, posted to other platforms, and goes viral without credit or remittance to the original content creator. Granted, this is just as much an issue of social norms as it is due to the affordances of the platform. However, platforms can include design elements to deter content theft and instead give credit to the creator. Several participants also mentioned that moderation of accounts did not seem equitable. There were participants who were called the N-word, but when they reported the incident to Twitter, were told that the act was not abusive. On the other hand, participants recounted knowing Black people who were banned for using the N-word within the community. Research has shown that algorithms trained to flag hate speech will mark tweets using the African American English dialect, or AAE, as well as tweets by self-identified African Americans as hate speech more often than non-AAE or non-African American tweets. Participants also proclaimed that harassment and bullying were a common and unwelcome experience. For any platform looking to support vulnerable communities, there has to be a robust and thorough content moderation process. Additionally, platforms should implement thoughtful and intentional design to mitigate harmful experiences or misapplication of policies. Through our research, we saw how Black Twitter is an online community that echoes the sentiments and goals of the Negro Motorist Green Book. The implications of this connection build a bridge across time and exposes how contemporary engagement with Black Twitter serves as an important venue for surviving and thriving within the Black diaspora. It is important to note that while the Negro Motorist Green Book was created by a Black person for Black travelers, Black Twitter exists on a platform that was not created by or for members of that community. As a provocation, what would it look like for a social platform to be built by and for Black people, taking into consideration the benefits and challenges to inform the creation of that new digital space in order to foster connectivity, survival, and a means to thrive? Given the lack of Black representation in Silicon Valley and the field of computer science as a whole, including structural inequities in computing education that continue to enact oppression, the suggestion that Black people should be more involved in designing and building technology is both important and challenging. One way to involve perspectives and values of the Black diaspora is to incorporate Afrofuturism into the process for designing technology. Researchers have combined Afrofuturism with participatory speculative design to yield future visions and technologies that center the concerns and hopes rooted in the experiences of Black people. With Black speculative fiction and particularly Afrofuturism as fodder for design probes, alongside incorporating participatory design with Black people, researchers, designers, and technologists can engage this population to envision new online communities and other technologies. As we continue this line of research, we plan to go beyond appropriation and explore sites of Black technology design, gaining insights into how they might be better supported, encouraged, and expanded upon. Moreover, this may show how the values embedded in those designs might better inform technology design for everyone. We hope to center Black Twitter as an online platform worthy of research. Our next steps in research will be to explore guidelines and best practices for researching Black Twitter. Examining technology created by and for Black people can help us in an effort to uncover the values and norms of Black technology. Thank you.